pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Now I would like to have a moment of silence to remember all of our people, our Americans, the world who are having all these significant issues. Thank you. Gentlemen, in front of you, you have our agenda. I'm looking for an approval. I need to make one motion, one change, please, under 4A, the solid waste budget amendment, under 4A.
So for the record, you're gonna have 4A as a solid waste budget amendment, and then Regina Rice will become 4B?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Correct, sir. Do I have any other budget, agenda movements before we go ahead and pass this one out? Okay. All in favor?
Well, we got a motion, we need a
Okay.
second, somebody second?
Okay.
Second, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I was doing that as a motion, my bad.
You're fine.
All right, you have a minute under tab 2, May 11th, June 9th, and June 23rd. I know you've had a chance to look at that. What say you?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the May 11th special minutes, the June 9th special minutes, the June 9th regular minutes, and the June 23rd special minutes as previously submitted to us for our review.
Motion. Have a second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody, for that. We're shorthanded tonight, but they're listing in. It brings us down to our public comment. We have one person, Mike Tuesday. Mike, good evening, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to thank you so much for the 3.5 years I've served as a member of the Board of Adjustment. I have worked alongside some wonderful people and have had so many opportunities to learn from them. I truly appreciated the opportunity you presented me. Although I enjoy my job tremendously, I am terribly disappointed that recently the Board of Commissioners have let us down in reference to our ruling on the French Broad asphalt case. I and my fellow board members spent over 30 hours across 8 sessions listening to testimony on this issue. This doesn't even take into account the numerous hours that were spent preparing for each hearing. We exercised our due diligence and carefully evaluated the evidence presented by both sides before coming to a unanimous decision on all 3 issues. We did not take this responsibility lightly. Since that time, I have asked a number of you for updates on the process going forward and have been assured on more than one occasion that the county commissioners stand by our decision and that you have a responsibility to support it until the end. I guess we all now know what you meant by until the end. Due to the commissioners' lack of support, it is with a heavy heart and deep regret that I am left with no other option than to tender my resignation from the Madison County Board of Adjustment effective immediately. It has been a pleasure working with the Board of Adjustment, and I will miss the opportunity to make a difference in our community.
Thank you, sir. That being all we have on public comment, we go to section 4B of your agenda. Regina Rice, Fire Chief and Marshal, welcome. If I'm talking loud,
No, you're out
I
of,
don't know.
Mr. Chair, you amended the agenda.
I'm sorry?
You gotta go A first.
You amended the agenda.
That's A.
Okay, 4D, I'm sorry. Okay, 4A was, my apology, can't read my own handwriting. Hang on a second, my apologies. I'm reading off my old one there. 4A is a solid waste budget amendment. I did not pick it up, sorry. My glasses are on top of my head. I have trifocals and I can't see with my mask on, so I'm doing the best I can. If you're not 60, your opinion, it doesn't matter, okay? Because you don't understand where I'm coming from, okay? Gotcha. Okay, moving along. 4A, the solid waste budget amendment. That's on the floor now, and I would ask our county manager to give us an update. Good sir, thanks for catching me, sorry.
At our most recent meeting where we had discussion about the budget and ultimately adopted budget, there was a lot of discussion and a charge that came from the Board of Commissioners related to solid waste fees and the solid waste cards. And so the charge from the commissioners was to bill the solid waste disposal cards correctly and in accord with the appropriate Madison County ordinance and North Carolina general statutes. Okay, with that being said, the county has determined that we will not be able to offer a discount in the enterprise fund the way that we have been doing. And in lieu of that, though, the staff is recommending, and this is supported by the UNC Chapel Hill staff, Coach Cannons, and also other county governments that are doing this. What we are recommending is a subsidy program for senior citizens, for people who have disabilities and that are low income. And low income meaning their household income is $31,000 or less. And if they do fit that bill, then we will, and they're over 60 or disabled or whatever the legal requirements are for that elderly exemption for their ad valorem tax purposes, that if you so choose to do so, to subsidize them, we would apply that same metric and standard, if you will, and they would get it on their solid waste card. In effect, though, we would write a check subsidizing, okay, because this would be a program, a qualified low-income assistance type program that will allow us to do this. So we would write a check from the general fund to the solid waste fund to subsidize the elderly and senior and disabled that are low income. So there are two items that I would need if you should so choose to do so. One would be the establishment of a subsidy program, and if we do that, the North Carolina general statute that authorizes that is 153A-292F, subparagraph F. So, and the other would be a budget appropriation to cover the cost of the subsidy, which would be called the disposal card senior subsidy for $150,000, and it would be funded from contingency. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
We did have a discussion when we had a full board together, and we all were in favor of not charging the senior citizens. Do I remember that as being correct?
That is correct.
And I think this is more of a moving around of money. It is not a new money as far as that, because we would have them paying it either way. Without that, is that fair to say?
What it is we are addressing the need to discount this in a sense, but we can't do it directly the way that we've done it in the past. So we will still bill it through the tax office. The bill will show $180 on an individual person's card. We would then write a check from the general fund, credit them for the $151 credit, and they had a $29. So it looks a little strange, if you will, but it's different. But it's not really. It's totally legal. And Orange County does it, and, and I would defer to the county attorney about the legalities.
I think we've had a good enough review on that, and really, I misspoke. It gets us back to our joint goal, which is not charging our senior citizens any more than we have to for their disposal card. I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Okay, all right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Not that I don't necessarily have a problem with the way this is being proposed. However, I also don't want to, I'm not doing this to intentionally hamstring our tax office, but I would move that we table this until all the commissioners can be present to vote on it. I know Commissioner Brigman has expressed to me he would like to be able to be here, to be able to understand what the program and where it's going. Obviously, Commissioner Gentry unable to be here due to an emergency, so I make that in form of a motion at this time.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Having no second, that one will respectfully fail, so we'll move on to another motion. We have another motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Okay. I'll make a motion I'll second that. Discussion, and another discussion is, I too would like to have both our other commissioners here due to the nature of this and the county manager's discussion that we need to move on with that, and they have the chance to dial in, I will just say, that's why I want to move on with it from there. We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, that is 4A.
Oh,
Oh, and the second was a budget amendment, okay.
no, I think that he didn't.
I didn't vote.
Sorry.
Opposed.
Okay, all those opposed, okay, I'm sorry, okay, okay.
Sorry, sir.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of knew we were going there. So.
That's all right. I mean, it's procedural more than,
Yes,
I
okay.
understand.
Yes.
I understand.
Okay, so 4A being done, yes? Do I need to do a budget amendment now?
Well,
approve both of them, right?
Well, I think the way I presented it was both of them.
Okay, so we're good. Okay, so my point is, I can go to 4B now? Okay, all right. 4B. Regina, come down, please. The chief from Marshall. Sorry about that mix-up.
Thank you guys for talking with me. The maps that you have in front of you show the Marshall Fire Department's coverage area. The blue area is the Marshall city limits. In the black, inside the black line shows the Smoky Mountain Fire District. And then inside the red line shows the area that we provide the same service for, but without any tax revenue. And this is becoming increasingly hard because our growth is so much around here. The population is growing, we're having a lot more call volume. So our call volume has increased significantly in just the last few years. To my knowledge, the Marshall Fire Department and the Hot Springs Fire Department are the only districts in the county that don't get a fire tax for their entire district. North Carolina General Statute, Chapter 153A, Article 16 states that the county can raise the revenue for a rural fire tax district from the property owners who will directly benefit from the fire service. We're not asking for a raise in our taxes, we're just asking that everybody pay the same fire tax. And our plans in the near future are to become a 24-hour department and to start construction on our substation in Little Pine. Both of these plans will only help our community. It will ensure quicker response time with personnel and apparatus in the most remote part of our district. I just feel like this is a very important decision. All the other departments have had this for years, and we have tried a few times to get this implemented, and it would make a world of difference in what the fire department can do for the community and the citizens.
And how many homes is out there that's not paying it?
I don't know the number. I have a list that I got from the tax assessor's office, and it looks like a book. I mean, it's not numbered, it's just a list of names, and it's probably that big. So just.
So you're asking us to implement the same fire tax as the town pays for the ones in your district outside?
Not necessarily the town, but the Smoky Mountain Fire District. The town is a little bit different from the Smoky Mountain Fire District because they just do theirs differently. I have talked with an attorney, and we can implement where that Marshall, the town of Marshall, and the Smoky Mountain District, and then the Marshall Fire Department can all go under one thing if everybody agrees to that. But right now, I would just be happy with getting the same tax from the rest of our district that goes toward Little Pine. We have some that goes toward Meadowstown. We also have some that goes toward 213 toward Mars Hill, and Ivy Hill, a little bit of area past Moreland Acres, if you're familiar with that area, is untaxed. And we have a lot of calls in those areas.
You know the tax for Smoky Mountain, you know what percent?
It's 8 cents on the 100, yeah.
Is that what the town does, or they?
No.
I know they got a budget, but do they sit to say?
They don't
5,
tell
6,
us
7, 8 cents, or
a
they just
percentage.
follow the budget?
We negotiate a settlement with,
So you
like a
get a
sum.
flat fee from the town
Yeah.
for your services.
Yes.
So And I just want to make sure that I'm interpreting the map that you gave us correctly. The blue shaded area is the town limits.
Yes,
Then the dark black line is where you are currently collecting fire tax.
Yes.
In your district.
yes,
And then the red area is the remaining area that's all surrounded in red is the complete total area that you service and represents the areas that are untaxed.
inside the red area.
Right.
Yes, that's the part that
And
we,
obviously that you've got your other fire districts
Yeah.
marked on there that I can, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was interpreting the map correct. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak?
Yes, sir.
I think we got a problem here. The problem is that you do not have the single authority to assess a tax on a district that is not been organized in a particular fire district. You can raise the tax up to certain limitations on the Smoky Mountain Fire District because that fire district has already been established. They have already voted or had a petition to set it. In order to tax this additional area, it's going to have to be organized as a fire district. It is it's not a fire district right now. And it's a little bit of another
If that's
problem.
your coverage, why would it be a fire district?
Well, the way fire tax works is that we can assess a fire tax to a fire district within boundaries, okay? Now, in rural areas, most of what counties do, to some extent, they try to set their fire district consistent with their township lines, because we know where those are easily. And so then, all of those folks in that particular township, they're assessed a fire tax. And then what the counties do is the counties use that fire tax, and we contract with entities, volunteer fire departments, to provide service, and we pay them that tax that those residents are paying. Now, if Smoky Mountain is serving an area outside the being taxed, then the people who are paying this fire tax within this fire district are paying for services that other people are getting for free.
Yes.
And, you know, so they're, but the fire department should not be using that money to pay, to service people that aren't paying for it.
So you're saying they shouldn't be going out to smoking, outside smoking out?
If they're doing it, you know, and so if you don't serve them, that gives them more incentive to say, hey, we'll be like
Voluntarily, yeah.
everybody else. And the only way you can charge a district a fire tax is to have 35% of the folks within that district to petition you for an election to establish a fire tax up to 10 cents. And then once they vote for that, then you can set that fire tax anywhere between 1 penny and 10 cents.
So you gotta have 35% of the people that live in that area sign a petition.
You gotta have 35% of the
Bring it
people
to
that's gonna live in that area to say.
And that's just to put it on the ballot, right?
That's to put it on the ballot.
Well, what, and I'm not saying we do this, but all Regina, what if we just said, and 6 weeks from now, I'm not responding to anything outside my district, y'all are on your own?
Well, that gives them the incentive to sign the
35%.
petition. I mean, if I lived in that area and I was being provided services and I wasn't paying for it, I mean, you know, there is, you know, and that happens often. Where it happens more than any other places is exactly where you've got here. You've got a township that is around the municipality. The municipality is covered by the town, but that little area that's outside of it that creates its own township is always just ridden along on the back of the town fire district. And so Smoky Mountain is essentially your town fire district because you contract with the town and they provide you a service.
The town and Smoky Mountain are two different things. We get county tax money for Smoky Mountain, and we get town tax money for Marshall
But they
in
don't
town.
have their own municipal fire.
No,
department.
they don't. We
They
do.
contract with you
They
to
do.
provide them services.
But years ago, all departments were like this. They only got taxes for 6-mile radius from their fire department. And I was not around then. That was not part of my time in the fire department. They did a thing with the whole county where everybody extended their tax revenue to their district lines. For some reason, I'm not sure exactly why, we were not in that, and Hot Springs was not in that. So we do have land that we're wanting to build a substation on Little Pine, which would put it in the middle of that area. It's 14 miles from our station right now. And me, as a fire chief, I cannot sit and listen to tones go off for somebody dying on Little Pine and not go.
No, I want you to go. I want you to go.
But we don't have the funds. We get $146,000 from you guys. Mars Hill gets $568,000, and we run almost the same number of calls. And we have a bigger district. So I feel like it's important.
And I'm just saying, in order to charge these people outside of your district the tax, these folks here can only do it. if
There's
those
3
folks-
ways to do it. Our attorney has
Ma'am,
advised
you need to have
us.
your attorney call
The
me.
commissioners can put it in place. You can do the petition for 35%, or, gosh, I can't remember the other one now. And it can go up to 15 cents instead of 10. And I'm not even asking for that. I'm just asking that we get what everybody else in the county gets. Mars Hill gets it, Ebbs Chapel gets it. Everybody gets their full coverage area. And it's not that I'm asking for you to go up. I'm just wanting everybody to pay it. And I cannot deny service to somebody to make them pay it. And if you guys implement it, that's what we need. And I can hook you up with my lawyer if you want the rules on that. This North Carolina General Statute for 153A, that's just a fraction of the stuff that he has told me about. And I can't go over that with you right now like a law book, but I can hook you up with him and he can take you through that. I just feel that Marshall covers a big area. We do an extremely good job. We have qualified people that work hard and volunteer, and we need the funds to make this work.
And we're not disagreeing with you at all. We appreciate what you do, and all your people are volunteer. I got that, and I certainly support that. And I want you to make those calls and go help those people, our citizens. Would your attorney call our attorney and have them get on the same page and sing the same song?
Yep.
Because that's what this law is asking, and we'll move forward on it. It makes sense.
Regina, before you leave, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The property that you have on Little Pine,
Yes.
that's already been donated to you guys?
Yes, it was donated years ago by Jack Fisher, I think. It's at the bottom of the preserve, right on the main road of Little Pine Road, between the first and second gate for the preserve. We have an 1.5 acres there. I've already talked with French Broad Electric about doing the power lines. We are looking into what we need to do for a septic system, and we've looked at buildings. So we're well into planning this. It's just we need the funds to do it.
Understood. Let me ask you, because there's something, and this is where maybe I'm getting my insurance knowledge mixed up with my fire station knowledge, so correct me if I'm incorrect, if I'm wrong in any way. The property that you have in Little Pine is, did you say 14 miles from the main station in
Well,
Marshall?
14.3 miles is the furthest point from in our district, and that land is just a little bit short of that. So I don't know exactly the mileage, but it's between 10 and 14 miles.
But for insurance purposes, your 6-mile radius would then extend out from that building.
Right.
Correct? Your
Right.
6-mile radius of service.
But it's not really even the 6-mile radius thing. It is that just like
I
Morris Hill.
understand, I'm just trying to understand it.
Right.
So, but is there also not a rule that for that station, the substation, doesn't it have to be within a certain distance of the main station, or am I wrong about that?
It does, it
Okay.
does. And it's usually 10 miles, that's why I think it's 10 miles.
Okay.
10 plus. I know that 14 is the furthest point, 14.3 technically.
I got you.
So, and it is back. I have not measured that exactly from doorstep to doorstep, but it's really, really close to that.
Okay.
And it's closer than any other fire department could be to that area. I mean, that's a pretty remote area in there. So, and it's not that the 6 mile thing or anything like that, it's the point that everybody else in the county gets that and we don't.
Right, but I'm just thinking from a position of you guys trying to, if it comes down to you guys having to solicit signatures,
Right?
if you establishing this fire district, the expansion of the district to where you can put your substation out there could affect the homeowners insurance rates that the people out in that area are paying.
Oh, it will. It will bring their insurance down
Right.
significantly.
Especially if you get well, it'd probably be a 7 rating there, I'm guessing, is probably the best
We'll
you
probably be
can do,
a
right?
9 there, honestly, to
Okay.
start with. We're a 7 in the
But
town.
I'm saying the best you could
Right.
ever do would probably be a 7,
Right,
correct?
probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Good selling. Okay, good, good. So, we have a plan. You're gonna have your attorney call our attorney, Mr. Laws, and then we'll get together and we'll figure out how to do this.
Okay.
Yes?
So, yes, I just need him to have him call your office. Is that,
Have him call Mr.
Sure.
Laws. Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
ma'am. Yes,
all
ma'am.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. Appreciate you. All right. Item number 5, Brandon Young, Soil and Water Conservation District. Hi, Brandon. Hey.
I'm Brandon Young, Madison Soil and Water, and we got Tyler Ross here. He's on the computer here. He's gonna unmute himself. He's gonna lead things off, and then I'll chime back in. We've also got one of our board members here, Mr. Clyde Hagan, with us as well. We've got a PowerPoint presentation for you too here.
Brandon, you just let me know when that PowerPoint gets pulled up. And, yeah, Commissioners, I apologize for not being able to be there this evening. I go in tomorrow for a treatment, and I love you guys a lot, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to risk picking something up from somebody, so I will be coming in over Zoom.
No, sir, we understand completely, Tyler. Thank you, brother.
All right, Tyler, we got the page number 1 here, ready for you whenever you're ready.
All right, well, gentlemen, I'm going to try my best to give you the 30,000-foot view of the district. Me and Brandon are very, very, very thankful that y'all let us in tonight. So I'm going to do my best. And if at some point you need to interrupt me to ask a question, holler, and I hopefully or Jamie hop on there and tell me to hush. So North Carolina Division of Soil and Water Conservation is statutorily connected to North Carolina's 96 local soil and water conservation districts through the North Carolina General Statute 139. And the districts deliver the programs from the Division of Soil and Water through the comprehensive district infrastructure. The historical perspective is soil and water conservation districts and their governing board of supervisors were formed nationwide based on enabling legislation passed by Congress that grew out of the devastating Dust Bowl and other critical conservation problems of the 1930s. This federal legislation encouraged states to pass legislation for the establishment of local soil and water conservation districts. Dr. Hugh Hammond Bennett, a North Carolina native from Anson County, was instrumental in raising awareness about soil erosion and is credited for soil and water conservation programs around the nation today. When North Carolina passed the Soil and Water Conservation Districts law, the citizens of Anson County organized the Brown Creek Soil and Water Conservation District, which is the first district in the United States. So what is a district? Under North Carolina General Statute 139, the soil and water conservation districts are organized as governmental subdivisions of the state as well as independent political units. Districts work closely with county, state, and federal governments and both public and private organizations in a non-regulatory capacity to carry out a comprehensive conservation program that protects and improves the county's natural resources while assisting private landowners in using conservation practices. This partnership has been the backbone of highly successful efforts over the past 75 years plus to address serious problems across the state, including soil erosion, flood damage, and water quality problems. The purpose and function of a district: the district law provides authority to district to meet the needs of landowners and citizens in several ways. We deliver state programs administered by the division, including the North Carolina Agricultural Cost Share Program, the North Carolina Agricultural Water Resource Assistance Program, the North Carolina Community Conservation Assistance Program, and districts to the east of us administer the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program. We also work side by side with the USDA, NRCS, and Farm Service Agency to deliver federal Farm Bill conservation programs involving water quality practices, farmland protection, wetlands restoration, and wildlife and forestry habitat enhancement. We assist communities in many areas of natural resource management, such as erosion and sediment control, source water protection, stormwater management, floodplain management and flood control, water use efficiency, stream restoration, open spaces, and small plot forestry management. We respond to natural disasters by helping local landowners and state and local governments with cleanup efforts and restoration, including cropland and drainage system cleanup, repair of conservation-based management practices, livestock mortality issues, and waste management systems. And finally, we respond to projects of local interest, such as conservation easements, environmental education centers, parks, and demonstration farms. The organization of our districts is there are 96 local soil and water conservation districts. The boundaries coincide with the county borders, with one exception in our state. The Albemarle Soil and Water Conservation District encompasses a 5-county area of Camden, Chowan, Currituck, Pasquotank, and Perquimans County. The governance of the districts is governed by a 5-member board of supervisors. Mr. Hagan is there with us. He is our vice chairman. 3 supervisors are elected on the general ballot as nonpartisan candidates during the regular election of county officers, and 2 are appointed by the North Carolina Soil and Water Conservation Commission upon recommendation of the local district board of supervisors. Again, there's another exception to that, but that's for those folks in Albemarle. But all supervisors serve 4-year terms, and they are key to the success of our local districts. Our scope of work is really based around our board of supervisors meeting monthly to establish local soil and water conservation priorities based on the needs of the district. As you can imagine, county to county, it's different. And, the Jewel of the Blue Ridge is different than if we went down the mountain in McDowell County. The board chairs work groups to address these priorities through the installation and implementation of best management practices that protect and improve the natural resources within the district. The work is accomplished by us partnering with local, state, and federal agencies, businesses, and nonprofit organizations for technical and financial assistance. The board is also responsible for reviewing and approving district contracts for Ag Cost Share, Ag Wrap, and CCAP. The Division of Soil and Water Conservation administers those funds and holds each local board of supervisors accountable to the state programs. So there are other thresholds that we have to follow through while we're contracting those funds. The funding of the districts, we receive funding from federal, state, and local governments and independent fundraising sources. Local, obviously that's you guys, the county. You guys are very well aware of what our budget is with you. We receive funding from you that may include appropriations that fund office space, personnel, and equipment, as well as specific conservation programs and projects. Another one on the local is also our board that also, we have funds from fundraising and independent fundraising for that board. That it's through a different fund that comes through our office. So the state is North Carolina provides technical and administrative assistance and some equipment through the Division of Soil and Water Conservation, which is a part of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Financial assistance is also provided by the state and administered by the North Carolina Soil and Water Conservation Commission with staff assistance from the division. Funding is available through matching funds, Agricultural Cost Share Program, the Community Conservation Assistance Program, grant, and special projects funds on the state side. Federally, the Natural Resource Conservation Service provides personnel, technical assistance, and equipment in support of district conservation programs, and may also provide financial assistance through federally initiated conservation programs implemented through local districts. And then finally, with our independent fundraising, many districts raise money through grant writing or activities such as selling tree saplings and conservation materials or renting equipment such as no-till drills. And one thing I'd just like to I know you guys are aware of because y'all vote on it, but all funds received by our district are public monies, and as a governmental body, each district must properly administer and account for all its funds. In order for us to be in compliance with the Local Government Fiscal Accountability Act, we have bonded the finance department and the county as our finance officers, so that we've got all bases covered, and they've done a fantastic job helping me and Brandon, because we're essentially we're really good at being out in the farm field. But when it comes to all that stuff, thank God for Terry. Brandon, I think that's all I've got on my end.
All righty.
Are you, okay?
I got just a couple
Brandon's
more
gonna take
slides.
one of the weeds.
Want to give you a little snapshot of what we've been up to. We work under PE for the state, for the Department of Agriculture, and so we're given job approval authority once we have proven our abilities, which takes a lot of training and a lot of time. Me and Tyler have all of the job approval authority that is needed to do the best management practices that we do on a regular basis for this county. And then, so these best management practices that we do, here's just a snapshot of the ones that we've done since 2016. We do, a big one is exclusion fencing, where we fence livestock out of a creek and provide them with alternative watering sources. So, we've done almost 9,000 feet of fencing. We've got 18 acres of pasture innovation, half-acre critical area planting. We just finished up a big project at the library through the CCAP program, where we caught a lot of the roof runoff and sent it over to some underground cisterns, so y'all can go take a look at that if you'd like, powered by solar panels. It's pretty cool. We put in 15 watering tanks, 2 spring developments to catch water, to provide to those watering tanks, 7 regular wells, 1 solar well. Again, that's just another way to catch that water and send it to those water tanks. 2 stream crossings, 2,500 linear feet of ag road stabilization, 300 linear feet of stream restoration, 1,300 plus feet of square feet of ag road repair in an ag chem handling facility. That's since 2016. Again, those are our 3 cost share programs. The first one, the ag cost share program, that's the big one. We get funded it. Most of our money goes to it. That's for water quality purposes on ag land. We got a newer program called Ag Wrap. That's to provide folks water quantity in times of drought needs. And then the CCAP program is the one that we can work on non-ag lands for. That's a regional pool now. The amount of money that we've paid out to landowners since 2016 for these cost share projects, which are normally a 75, or always Madison County 75% covered by the program, 25% by the landowner. You can see there, Ag Wrap 25,157, Ag Cost Share Program 105,930, CCAP 24,696, with a total of 155,783. A lot of these projects haven't been completed yet, so they haven't been paid out. So if you add that up to it, the ones that are going to be finished, we've got quite a bit more than that, 444,844 total there. We also partner, as Tyler said, with NRCS, and that's the Farm Bill, and they got a whole other thing going on, but we help them out to do their stuff because we all want to protect the natural resources in this county, whether it's our program or not. So there's a snapshot of what we've been up to with them, helping them out. 26 contracts, over $500,000, almost 2,000 conservation plans, acres, 2,700 acres of water quality improvements. They've also got some wildlife conservation practices that they do, over 1,000 acres, so almost 4,000 acres of conservation practices through their program. We also tap into our grant funders. We've acquired quite a few grants through Pigeon River Fund through the years. These are just since 2016. We got some money to help some farmers out that didn't qualify for our normal programs because there's a caveat that it has to be in agriculture the past 3 out of 5 years, so we help them out with that. We take water samples to help determine if our practices are improving the water quality, which they are. And we're, again, doing the library project with the cistern. We use Pigeon River Fund to help supplement the CCAP funds on that. And then we were getting about 25,000 a year split between Madison, Haywood, and Buncombe to do our education, environmental education programs. We didn't get that this last year, but that's been going on for quite some time now, the past decade probably. And then we've also partnered with Mountain Valley's RC&D. We've gotten 2 EPA 319 grants for the Ivy River watershed because it's a 303 delisted stream. And so we've done septic repairs, stream restorations, livestock exclusion systems, and we also get some administration through that too. And then if Tyler's still back on there, he might want to give us a little snapshot of what that Good Neighbor Authority is. Tyler, you still with us?
I am. So the Good Neighbor Authority is a program that came about with the 2014 Farm Bill. It was a pilot project essentially to assist and help the U.S. Forest Service do projects on U.S. Forest land with state agencies. So the North Carolina Forest Service is in agreement with them, Wildlife Resource Commission as well. And our board sent a request in to at the our annual meeting for us to explore becoming partners. And us, Haywood County, and a couple other districts that have Forest Service land requested that the division and the North Carolina Department of Ag sign on as partners with the Good Neighbor Authority agreement with the U.S. Forest Service. And that was signed, I believe, in January 2017. And it's underneath the authority of the 2014 Farm Bill, but it has also been grandfathered with the newest Farm Bill. And what that means is the U.S. Forest Service, it's more cost effective for federal funds to be spent to contract with partners that are locally based and locally led that have the expertise. And it's a lot more cost effective for them to work with us. So right now, we are one of 2 districts in the nation that have a special project agreement with Forest Service, and the other one is Transylvania County for a stream crossing, and they will be oversight. And then Brandon and myself I'm going to brag a little bit, we're the only district to my knowledge in the United States of America that's in a special project agreement to where we will be implementing forestry and wildlife habitat practices, specifically addressing invasive species on federal land in this agreement with the U.S. Forest Service. There's a lot to unpack with that, and I would really love to, if we can look at it in the future, us coming and just doing a presentation to you on the Good Neighbor Authority. And I would like to reach out to the Forest Service to see if they could have somebody, if y'all are good with that, or if you've got questions on that, I'll hang around and I will do my best to answer them.
Quick summary of this kind of stuff that we're up to. The contributions back to Madison County, if you will. Our board members, our board pays for a significant amount of our department's expenses. We have a lot of rental equipment that we rent out to farmers, and some of that money goes back to paying for some of our bills. The state reimburses the county part of our salary. $25,500 goes back to the county each year for our positions. We're improving water quality, reducing soil erosion, improving forest health, improving wildlife habitat, improving air quality. We're saving landowners property taxes. Again, we're doing rental equipment. These cost share contracts, you have to hire a lot of different local businesses. We've got the quarry, we've got dump truck drivers, concrete, you name it. We're helping them out each time we do one of these projects. Educating, we're doing a lot. Every time we go on a field visit, we're educating landowners, and then we're going into schools, and we will one day again, but we were. We're doing an Envirothon thing. We're doing a camp each summer with them, just trying to get the word out on these natural resources that we have, these wonderful resources we have in this county that we want to protect and keep around. And then, as always, anytime we go on a site visit or do a conservation plan for somebody, it's totally free. No cost, whereas if you was to do that with a private, it'd be $100 an hour at minimum probably. And just a quick little quote, circle things back around Hugh Hammond Bennett, who's kind of the father of all this. He said, one of the best and certainly the most promising of the devices yet invented by man for dealing democratically and effectively with maladjustment and land use as well as for carrying forward positive programs of desirable conservation and for maintaining the work, is the Soil Conservation District. And that's it. That was a lot, but just want to give you guys a snapshot of what we're up to.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon.
Absolutely.
Tyler,
Blessings on you.
Yep,
keep
I
fighting, brother.
appreciate it.
Blessings on you, brother.
I appreciate it, thank you.
All right, our next item, gentlemen, is with North Gentry, who had an emergency, could not be here tonight. So that'll be on our next agenda, our work session. So number 7 is Sam Lunsford, our solid waste director. Hey, Sam.
Good evening, Commissioners. How are y'all this evening?
Good, sir.
Good, Sammy, how are you?
Doing well. I come from the board this evening to request the days that the landfill needs to be closed and open for the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays this year. I think you've got that, y'all. I think you've got that in front of y'all.
We do.
The county on Thanksgiving is scheduled to be closed on the 26th and the 27th, which is a Thursday and a Friday this year. And Saturday is not on the schedule, but I'll go over that with y'all. On the 26th of November, the main landfill and the collection centers would like to be closed. And on the 27th, which is a Friday, the main landfill will be open from 8 till 12, and the collection centers will be open all day. And then on the 28th, the landfill is typically just a half a day anyway. We request that to be closed, and the collection centers will be open on the regular schedule all day. And this is for Thanksgiving only. I will say on November 27th, the main landfill, even though the county is scheduled to be closed that day, we say 8 to 12, but typically on that day, we have a set amount of cans that we need to pick up just to keep any kind of backlog we have like on Monday. And so it may be 132 that we actually get done, but we say 8 to 12, but we won't not leave until we've actually got the amount of cans I know we need to pick up to keep the log jam from coming from next week on Monday.
Do your contract haulers come in on Fridays a lot too, I guess, Sam?
They don't come, they come on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We don't have any that come in on Friday.
Oh, okay, cool. Good. Well, I think you've got a good plan here for, this is, and now this is just for the Thanksgiving holiday. Did you
Thanksgiving.
say you want to talk to us about the Christmas?
Yes, I do also.
Okay.
Now, Christmas, the county's scheduled to be closed, was kind of unusual this year. They're scheduled for the 24th, the 25th, and the 28th. The 25th being a Friday, the 28th being a Monday, so there's no open in there. Typically, when we have an open in, we'll work on either that Friday, off on Monday, or vice versa, and we will also work on Saturday. But seeing that the county's got closed on a Monday and a Friday this year on Christmas, kind of an unusual scenario. But I'll go over the schedule I recommend. On the 24th, which is a Thursday, which is Christmas Eve, the main landfill and collecting centers will be open a half a day, 8 to 12. On the 25th and the 26th, which is a Friday and a Saturday, the landfill and the solid waste, the whole department will be closed on those 2 days. And on Monday, which is also a scheduled day off for the county, the landfill and the collection centers will open on a regular schedule, full day.
It's very clear, thank you. So, any questions, commissioners?
I just want to make sure I understood that,
Yep.
Sam. So on the 24th, you're proposing a half a day for the collection centers
Christmas
and the
Eve.
landfill.
Yes,
Everything closed on the 25th and the 26th.
that is correct.
And the 28th, you're back full board, regular schedule.
That is correct.
I think Thanksgiving and Christmas, Mr. Chair, I think those are good plans, and I will move that we accept Mr. Lunsford's plan for his holiday variance.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks,
Sam.
Commissioners. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sam. Good
Very
plan.
clear, very good. Okay, moving along, we have Brooke Ledford, our Community Services Director, under item 8. Good evening, Brooke.
Good evening. I have a few things on the agenda today. The first is the Laurel Community Center lease agreement. I think you've got the lease agreement in your packets. The Community Services Department currently has 8 mill sites. At our mill sites, we provide lunch to Madison County residents who are 60 and older or who have disabilities. These mill sites also provide opportunities for mill site attendees to participate in crafts and activities, field trips, and much more. The Shelton Laurel Mill site is currently located at the Middle Laurel Church of God and is serving 45 meals per day. This is our second highest attendance rate for all 8 mill sites.
Awesome.
I would like to move this mill site to the Laurel Community Center, also known as the old Laurel Elementary School.
So at 45 people, you're at max capacity, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We don't have much more room to grow at the church. The community center offers more space, both inside and out. They would have room for a garden outside if they chose. There's also room to walk around and do stuff like that outdoors.
And Brooke, is that place still, I mean, it's still in good enough shape? I mean, I know, I assume that it is?
Right. We've had the health inspector out a couple of times. All the septic tank and all those issues have been resolved. Everything in the building has been resolved.
Okay.
There was one small thing that she had to come back and look at, so we'll have it approved by the end of the month.
Do you have in your budget the $250 a month? Is that in your budget? Are you gonna need an amendment?
It's in the budget. We requested it when we did the new budget.
Okay, awesome sauce.
When, unless I just overlooked it, when will this take effect?
I would like for it to take effect August 1st. That gives us time to do a 2-week notice, and that way we don't have to pay double rent. If we chose to move this month, we would have to pay
Can you
both
make that
months.
happen if we approve it?
Yeah.
That quickly? Okay. I trust you. You want us to vote on this now? You want us to come back to it, or?
You can vote now. We're ready.
Mr. Pulliam, has our county attorney seen this lease? Has he-
It's my understanding that he has. He
Okay.
was provided a copy of it,
Okay.
and so I don't know where he is, but he has looked at it.
Okay.
And I don't know of any exceptions or
Okay.
comments. that he-
I'll make a motion, we approve that based on the precedent that our county attorney has approved said lease. I'll make that motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, good.
Next is the Logisticare contract. Logisticare is a national transportation broker for managed care. In North Carolina, Logisticare is the transportation broker for several insurance companies, including Blue Cross Blue Shield, AmeriHealth, and United Health. Recently, they have reached out to the Transportation Authority about contracting with them to provide rides to the Medicare Advantage participants. Medicare Advantage plans pay for a limited number of trips to doctor's offices, so we would be able to receive reimbursement if we contracted with them, much like we do with the Medicaid through DSS. The contract and the rate sheet should be in your packets. So we are requesting that you approve the contract so that we can receive reimbursements. A lot of these rides we're already doing because we're doing them for free, because we give rides to people who are 60 and older for free. So this would just be an additional source of revenue for the Transportation Authority.
And have you run this agreement by our attorney, Mr. Laws?
The grant is appropriate as long as they add our county addendum to the contract as the form of it, and they have that in county offices.
What say you, gentlemen?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the grant.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion? If not, all in favor? Thank you. Okay.
And then lastly, we moved to the in-home aid program. We've pretty much touched every program almost. Land to Sky has given Madison County Community Services the opportunity to continue administering the Family Caregiver Support Program grant. This grant aims to improve the quality of life for caregivers in Madison County. By renewing the contract, we would be able to continue providing these services. Madison County has been awarded $2,000 for care consultation and $8,000 for respite services for caregivers in Madison County. The in-home aid supervisor will be responsible for administering the grant funds. Last year, the Family Caregiver Support Program helped 9 families keep loved ones in homes. Otherwise, they would have had to go to assisted living or nursing homes. So it has helped 9 people just in the last year. So we are asking that you sign the grant and reinstate it again for this year. And then all the paperwork should be in the binders.
And I should have asked this the first time. Is there any county match required on either of these grants, Brooke?
No.
No? Okay.
The Family Caregiver Support is just an extension from what we got last year. It's just a renewal.
Mr. Attorney, do we need to do the addendum on this as well?
Not on this one. This
Okay.
is a pure grant.
So this is straight up, we're good to go?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the participation in both of these grants that have just been submitted.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Brooke.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Brooke.
Next on our agenda is Carrie Lefford, our finance officer. Good evening, Carrie.
Good evening, gentlemen. Okay, before you, for your approval are 2 budget amendments. Each will need separate votes. The first one will be for the FY 19-20 and it's budget amendment number 13, and the second one will be for FY 2021 as budget amendment number 1. So would you please consider budget amendment 13? As you see, most of the amendment you have is just the yearly cleanup on items. We are recording the annual payment in lieu of taxes, which was $33,444 more than what was budgeted for last year. You will also see that we're amending the budget to record where economic development received the One North Carolina Fund grant in the amount of $50,000.
I make a motion we do the amendment for budget number 13.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Can y'all give me just a second to
Oh,
look at
yes,
it,
sir.
please?
Yes, sir.
I don't have any questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I have a motion. I have a second. Further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 13 passes. Continue on, Ms. Lefford.
Now, budget amendment number 1 for FY 2021. There's a need to add funds to the capital equipment line for the sheriff's office, as noted on the amendment. He had requested this amount for the purchase of the much-needed fingerprint machine, and unfortunately and apologetically, this amount was left off of the proposed budget. You will also see where we are again transferring funds from the Register of Deeds automation account to cover the cost of the new scanner in the amount of $8,999. Last month's amendment was for the purchase of a bulb that turned out not to be what the problem was. So now we are buying a new scanner. There's a copy of the quote in your packet of that. Also included is a copy of the letter and check for the health department for COVID-19 relief, and you'll see that amendment at the bottom of the page.
So on the Register of Deeds, the bulb that we bought didn't fix the problem.
That's correct.
Do we get a refund on the bulb?
She is turning it back in. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
All right.
I love it. All right. Everybody a chance to keep looking that over?
And just to clarify, the sheriff had intended to, or the sheriff did ask for the,
Yes, sir.
in his previous budget, but
Yes,
it
yes.
was inadvertently left out.
That's correct.
I'd like to add too, that fingerprint machine is at its last leg. They definitely need.
Well, and that was my point. I mean, it was attempted to be asked for in the budget, and it was just accidentally.
They did
Yes,
ask
sir.
for it in the budget.
Yeah, it was an
But
oversight.
in the translation of the information, our staff made an error and didn't get it in there.
That's fine. I mean, the fingerprint machine is critical. I mean, no question about that, so. And we've gotten, I assume, we've gone through the proper bid process and everything on that. Okay.
There aren't many vendors.
Well, I wouldn't think so. They kind of have you over a barrel, I guess.
Yeah.
Sort of like kind of like fix an RV, right?
Yeah. All right, well, gentlemen, I'll make a motion, we approve budget amendment number 1.
I'll second that.
Have a second. Further discussion? We can wait a while if you need to, Mr. Westwood.
No, I think I'm good.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Awesome. We're to June.
Thank you, fellas. The next item is the item C in the packet, and that is June's financial report. At the top of the second page of that, you'll see that the percent of the budget listed for the year. All funds, we finished the year at 90.87 for the revenues and 91.17 for our expenses. These amounts will change slightly as invoices still are trickling in to be paid, and there's some outstanding revenue that we are expecting to receive that will be posted back into the month of June.
And I would assume that revenue includes sales tax revenue, correct?
Yes,
2 months worth probably, right?
2 months' worth, yes.
Okay, so this number could get much better.
Let's hope so.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Indeed. Carrie, as they're looking it over, you finding a good, our department heads are following the procedure on our purchasing and expenditures and encumbrances?
Oh, yes, sir.
We're all in good compliance there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's good.
I'm gonna have to remember to bring my reading glasses. This print keeps getting smaller every month.
I have mine on my head, but I can't see.
I ran off and left mine at home. I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Do you need a vote on this, or this is just FYI?
FYI.
Awesome.
Okay, the final item is the item D, and I'm presenting for the tax office for your approval the month of June's tax releases, and there are no refunds reported.
That's always wonderful.
I think that's the first time in 5 years on this board, I think that's the first time I've ever seen that.
Okay. Questions for our finance officer before?
Well, you
Need to
do
vote
have
on
some
that.
releases though, correct, that we need
Yes,
to address?
yeah, you need to vote on it, yes.
No refunds, just some standard releases there.
I got excited.
Sorry, I might have built up the expectations too
Well, I was
much.
just getting happy there for a minute. Thank you, Matt, you green crusher. Go right ahead.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we go ahead and approve these, this very limited amount of releases here.
Thank you, sir. I'll second that. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Gary.
That brings us now to item number 10, our county manager, Mark William. Good evening, sir.
Hey, Mr.
Thank you.
Mark, can I interrupt for 1 second? Mr. Chair, just for those in the audience, the part that we skipped over with Norris being unavailable this evening
Yes, sir.
was the ordinance update and revision discussion, just in case there's anybody that's hanging out and that's all they're here for. I just wanted to make sure that they knew that that part had already, that part's not going to come up tonight.
And
Okay.
I hope I referenced it because he wasn't here, but we will definitely do that at our next work session. We'll have that conversation about looking that over and hiring someone maybe to come in to help us with that. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Sorry, Mark.
It's all right. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission and the public at large, a couple of really interesting things that have happened, really exciting, good things that have happened. Madison Medics transitioned over from Mission July 1st without a hitch. So we have now everything running there with Madison Medics, which is our ambulance service. And from my understanding, it's going quite well. All the bases are operational and all the trucks are here. They look really nice. They look new. And so we
All the same employees, nobody left.
everybody's staying. Well, that's amazing.
100% retention? Very good.
We had one leave, but he left before the takeover. And it wasn't because of the takeover.
Gotcha.
one thing I'd like to just note here, that when you have experienced people, whether it be in paramedics or in nursing or doctors or lawyers or whoever, you know, what comes with that experience, you know, quality of care. And in this case, we're talking about paramedics that have been here for a long time. And it's a pretty good haul to get to Mission or to the next hospital, wherever, you know, and so we need the best people on these trucks. So I would just like to say, it's an investment, but a commendable investment to protect the citizens of Madison County. And I'm happy to report that the transition went smoothly. So another item that's about to take place in Madison County, a while back, the Board of Commissioners adopted a plan to mount charters of freedom settings, if you will, and the community down on the courthouse lawn. And included in those charters of freedom are included as the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, as well as the U.S. Constitution. And it's my understanding that the work will commence on this in the very near future down at the courthouse to put the charters of freedom down there on the lawn. So you'll start seeing activity within the next week or two. And it'll take about 6 weeks or so to get the charters of freedom finalized, and there will be a ceremony at some point in the juncture recognizing and around the setting of these, groundbreaking or whatever you want to call it.
Grand opening.
Grand opening, that'll work. We'll come up with it soon.
That's right.
So,
And just to, Mark, just to reiterate, that project is funded by public and private donations. There are no taxpayer funds going towards that project. And I'll also remind my fellow commissioners that when we all voted on that, if there is any funding that needs to be done in addition to what is being taken care of, we had all agreed to pitch in on that. So just reminding y'all that.
I'm not sure I remember that.
We can review the tape.
Yes, sir, I'm with you. Yes, sir.
So it'll be exciting. I think it'll also offer a focal point for people to go and look at these documents and enjoy them for years and years to come. I was really surprised by how much material that goes into it. I think he told me 19 tons of concrete.
19 yards.
Or whatever.
Yeah, 19 yards.
19 yards, it's more than tons, yeah. Sorry. It's a lot of it. Forgive me. So with that being said, there are some things elsewise that I would like to touch on. Tamcoa and the health department staff, a couple of them are here tonight. What I would like to say, I heard somebody say the other day that, you know, downplaying what has happened here in Madison County as a response to the COVID-19. But I don't want to downplay it. I want to celebrate it as a victory. And what I mean by celebrate it as a victory is that I checked just a few minutes ago. We've had 18 cases of COVID-19 from the time this started until today in Madison County. And I commend the citizens of Madison County and all of the health professionals and the different people for doing the things that need to be done to battle back this awful virus. Taking the necessary social distancing steps that have been done. And I will say, you know, I commend Tammy. You've done a great job, the Board of Health, and all the people on EOC, as well as the community, you know, for taking this serious and doing what we can. And I'm proud to be part of this community in that respect. And I thank you all. Thank you so much, Tammy, for your leadership. A couple more items I just want to report on quickly here. I checked with the auditors today, and the 2019 audit report has not been given us the draft. We will be getting that in the very near future. And that will, we're hoping to wrap that up and get validated so we can get caught up to speed and get the 2021 audit completed on time and get us back on track.
Good.
There are some other things that the county manager envisions that I have discussed with y'all in private, but at some point, you know, we will be working in the near future, okay, on updating our county personnel policy, our employee handbook, and included in that, I think we need to consider updating our pay plans. There are some employees in the county that are covered by other pay plans that are not necessarily per se Madison County. But we will sort that out. It's time to update this, bring y'all personnel policy ordinance so that it becomes an update and it's brought into the where we are today. I'm not sure when the last one was updated, but it does need to be updated. And as we envision, I believe we'll have some other ordinances that we'll be talking about. We'll leave that, I'll move that. Two more things that I would like to bring up as initiatives that I want us to, we will need to update. Our comprehensive plan, the county manager will be bringing to you a solid plan on how to update all of the things that I'm outlining here tonight. And last but not least, probably one of the most important that we can do from a financial standpoint is to establish a long range asset management plan. And in that asset management plan, we manage all of our assets from the infrastructure to the building, to the rolling stock, to the transfer station, to storm drain, whatever, fire, everything that we put together so that we can have a clear master plan for Madison County on what it is that Madison County envisions for the future and what it is that Madison County needs to do in order to capture and realize that future. And so with that, you know, we will be engaging in a positive planning process that will establish, you know, and set apart Madison County for the future. We are the jewel of Blue Ridge, and we have a lot of talented people here, and we have a lot of great opportunities, and let's just keep it going. I have received a request from the school superintendent, and the request from the school superintendent deals with three major topics. The first is they have some COVID-19 related expenses, and they have requested $100,000 from Madison County's CARES Act funding. Number two, they have, based on recent audit information from Madison County, the schools have significant fund balance, and they're requesting $300,000 from their fund balance to adequately operate the school system. And they're making this request due to costs associated with capital improvements and unforeseen costs associated with the pandemic and maintenance costs. And lastly, they're requesting use of lottery funds in the amount of $350,000 to be used toward debt service on our $395,000 annual energy loan efficiency payment. And so with that being said, I'll hand y'all these copies. At this point in the juncture, you know, I want to just make a comment on, I'll stand for questions. Let me just leave it like that. I'll stand for questions.
I got a question. Do they not get direct COVID help through the state, or does it have to come through the county?
It's my understanding that the Department of Public Instruction did appropriate, and there was some money from the federal government came down to the schools. I don't know the dollar amount. I can inquire and find out.
The governor was mentioning that fact today at his press conference, saying that there's some money, Mr. Snelson, that have been put down through the schools I would be in favor of looking at the others. The CARES Act, I would like to defer to another time, only for the fact I want to make sure we have enough to cover our collective COVID costs as well. It's not that they're not deserving, it's just I need help on some of that.
Well, especially if they've already gotten an allotment, I think we need to account for, take that into proper accounting.
The one, okay, keep going, I'm answering.
No, it's okay. I'm reading over this.
So are they asking for the total of 450,000 here at the bottom, is that correct?
They're asking for, the way I read it, 650,000. Let me explain, okay, let's take them one at a time.
Okay.
The number two, the 300,000 that they're requesting, okay, they're wanting that to come out of, if I understand it correctly, out of 4042 money.
Correct.
Here's the problem with that, okay? The way this request is listed, it shows that they want to use it for capital outlay, unforeseen costs associated with bandana and maintenance. 4042 money, correct me if I'm wrong, county attorney, can only be used for capital. It cannot be used for maintenance and operations. And so, that one we would have to explore a little more before we could, appropriate money if you were inclined to do so. I did ask the finance director to run a new tally on the 4042 money. And based this, I'm gonna qualify this, okay? Stated up front, the numbers I'm giving you are unaudited, okay? And the reason I believe they're correct, but I want to just be careful because remember what I said a while ago, we don't have a 2019 audit and we're working at 2020, so there could be adjustments in numbers. Don't know that there will be, but I want to be careful. As it stands right now, the projected fund balance at 6/30/20 would be $1,466,000. And we would hold back two of the payments that we have been holding back at a total of $429,667 apiece, which is $859,334, which would leave $606,000 of additional funds that could be used for capital outlay items at the school for appropriate uses. So that is number two as it stands. All right. And number three, as it stands, you've got this lottery pot down there, and my understanding that lottery pot has some specific uses that it has to be used for. Capital outlay, repairs, educational programs, all those things play into it. And, I guess in the past, the county has used this money to pay the payment. I could be wrong on this, but it seems like we've already appropriated the money to pay the payment. So why would we use the lottery money to pay the payment? And because the lottery money would be used to repair a roof leak or some other, and I'm not wanting to get into the schools micromanaging of where, they use their money or anything like that. But if we did tax the citizens for the payment, and we still have that money that could be used to fix a roof or whatever, I don't see the point in using that money, which would keep it free. It could be used, because we all know, and I'm pretty confident that they've got some substantial costs coming down the road. And I think a long-range plan on this stuff will avoid knee-jerk. If they've got immediate needs, I say let's address them. If they need us to help them, no matter what we have to do, to get there. But I don't know. I'll leave it there.
Well,
I'm like this, if, they know what money they got, and what money they need, and if they get it all and spend it all, don't look at us for no more money. If it's their money and
but it
they
won't
need
come to
it.
that.
But what I'm saying, they know, they know what they're asking for, they know what's in their budget, but I don't know why we're overseeing their budget, because when they run out of money, then it's them, it's not us.
But I think the point is, I understand where you come from, but the point is they're asking, first of all, a little over 2 weeks ago, we just sat here and went through a budget. Why was none of this in that budget? I think some of it was in that budget, and now it's being appropriated again. Am I correct? Am I reading this wrong?
The part that I believe was in the budget was the payment on the loan.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's part of, yes. I mean, that's
Talking about
specifically.
number 3 here.
That specifically, but, I mean, my point is, these are anticipated costs, and I don't know whose language that was, if that was yours or theirs, Mark.
It's not mine.
Mr. County Manager.
It's okay.
But why weren't these anticipated costs when we were doing the budget a month ago, 2 weeks ago? Why are these now anticipated? And that's, I'm not trying to be critical,
Right.
but I'm just curious I mean, the ink's not even dry on the budget we just passed, and we're asking to amend it, essentially.
Well, that first thing there for students, for computers, for remote learning, we're way behind the 8 ball on that. The middle schools had them for how many years?
7.
And
But I thought we just bought laptops last year, did we not?
No, not
For
for high
everybody?
school.
I thought did we not buy laptops for the high school last year?
no,
Not the high school.
we've talked about it.
No?
Well, one thing that I would like to suggest on some of these things, that I think that there are grant funds available, that we could get, to help with these, like the Wi-Fi hotspots. I'm positive there's got to be something out there that we can get.
Yeah, but if we don't go to school now, then you've got kids that don't have no computer. I mean,
They've had them through this time frame. I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah.
get you. I don't want students to not have computers.
right.
And hope you don't either.
Well, go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm sorry.
My recommendation is that we send part of this back, and I'm with Mark, I understand. I don't like, particularly coming from 18 and a half years off of a school board, but I also want to make sure that we need to clarify some of this. But we cannot wait on this $300,000 with the student computers. I know at the high school they don't have them, they're as old as Methuselah, the ones they have there. And my feeling is, to listen to the governor, he left enough room today on his press conference, you could have drove a truck in there about maybe closing down. I mean, that was very obvious if you were listening from there. So I would like to move on, if nothing else, that part tonight.
What was that? Say that again, I'm sorry.
On the $300,000 for the student computers there and what they're gonna have, because the high school does not have the computers to send home
The
to
middle school
their
does.
children.
Was the CARES Act money that they got not earmarked for computers? When it came from the federal government, did it not say that it was for computers?
I don't think anything's been put up for the high school. I can't speak for the, sorry.
That'd be something we would have to.
Oh.
I'm not trying to deny them.
Right.
I mean,
understand.
I'm not trying to deny them what they need, but I don't, I mean, Governor Cooper had a press conference today, so this didn't come about because of Governor Cooper's press conference
Right.
today. This was something that was cooking before that.
No, and I'm saying, this one commissioner's feeling by listening to the long press conference today was they left a room enough to drive a tractor trailer through it that they could close in a.
Right, I didn't get to hear
second.
I didn't get to hear it, so.
Well, I was a man of leisure today, so I got to do that. But the thing was, I mean, that's there. And I don't know, I can't speak for them, but I'm telling you, the high school does not have the computers to send with our poor students home to do this. They do not have them, no matter what we've done in the past or they've done. That much I'm aware of, and I would hate to see those kids get pinched.
So, but they're requesting that money out of their fund balance, correct?
It's not clear where.
I mean,
Let me just say, what I hear, okay, and looking at this, they want $100,000 for some CARES funds, okay?
Right.
They want $300,000 from our it's for the school, 4042 capital outlay. And then they want $350,000 more of the lottery money that would be used to pay the debt, which would in effect, I think, free up the 300 and however much y'all appropriated that they could use for this kind of stuff. So, it could be that it makes sense.
So the 4042 money is their money.
Yes, it's 40 and 42, two different
Correct.
ones, and yes, and it's for capital outlay functions.
And the computers would qualify for that.
Absolutely,
Okay.
it's begging for it.
So there's your 300,000 out of their own money. Am I right or wrong?
I would say
40, 42.
right, yes, 40, 42, that would be a great one, and we need to not get congested on that.
But we've got the
only
40,
question I have,
42.
and this is let me ask you a question, legal
Yes,
question.
sir.
Yeah.
Donnie, on 4042 money, is it capital outlays for construction purposes, or is it capital outlay that could be used for equipment?
I'll have to check on that.
Just speaking of my 18 and a half years, I know we bought equipment with it before.
I think as long as it's for the construction of tangible, it cannot be used for personnel and your general, but I think it actually can be used, but I'm gonna give you that with a caveat. And, I mean, you've got a budget session, if you wanna have a clear answer to that by the 28th, I'll certainly give you a clear answer to that by the 28th. I do know that the school's got a significant amount of COVID monies. I do know that DPI specifically required the schools and allocated enough money of them to clear up this virtual school possibility of paying for hotspots and paying for remote learning computers. So you may want to just ask them to provide to you what monies they got and how they were allocated, just to make sure that, you know, because I think the allotment was $500,000-600,000.
So hearing that, I want to move on this. I think maybe we can send it back to the superintendent and the finance officer, have them say a little clearer which way it wants to go. But I'm saying we can't wait on those computers at the high school. I don't know where, whatever, but they don't have them. That much I do know. And I know 40, 42, hopefully, God knows, I hope we did it right for my 18 and a half years we're there.
My feeling is that you can buy the computers with those monies.
Okay.
So we want,
My motion is going to be based upon the caveat, still on the attorneys, you know, that it is legitimate and legal to spend 4042 to authorize 300,000 for the computers for the high school.
yeah.
But see, here's the thing, when we approve their budget and we turn it over to the school board,
They can do what
once they've got the money,
Yes,
they can
sir.
do whatever they want to with it. So we
Yes, sir.
can't say that we're giving you this $300,000 just for the
It
computer.
just makes me feel good to say it that way.
I understand.
I realize that, it's like that quarter of a penny, you know, we could do other things. I hear what you're saying, but now it's
But
on
I
public.
think they're gonna use it for that.
Yeah.
I do.
I trust them,
Well, it's not that I don't trust them, but my point is we know there are other things that are gonna come up over the course of
Yes,
the
sir.
year that are gonna need urgent attention,
Correct.
okay?
Yes.
And so then, in essence, our fund balance becomes their fund balance,
When it hits the fan, absolutely.
right?
I agree.
So why
No
are,
argument.
but, you know, I mean, I think we just need to make sure that we are properly preparing for that rainy day.
I'm with you.
And, you know, again, I'm not trying to deny
No,
the children of
no,
this
no.
county anything.
No, and I don't see it that way, Matt. I'm with you.
But, you know, $50,000 in subscription costs associated with at-home learning, I don't understand, you know, what's that for?
And from my perspective, my motion is only for the top line.
I understand,
300,000.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out the whole thing though, and then,
Yeah.
and the point is,
I agree with you, because down here on the PPE stuff should come out of that COVID.
Yeah, and I don't,
Got COVID, correct?
I'm with you.
Yeah, let me make a comment, okay, on this, just to.
Please.
I try to help here. You know, I think that there are, some needs that the school has, and I think that in our deliberations here, we have some good information, but I'm not sure we have all of the information to make an informed and rational, good decision in the best interest of everybody. And I think that my suggestion, you've got a couple commissioners that could be here, you know, that could help us with this and be involved. Not that I think that's critically, but I do think it's important. But my point being is that I would like to see us consider having the superintendent come, let's get whatever.
Absolutely, and the finance director, so
Have
we can
whatever
get a,
questions that y'all have, and let's get them out on the table. I can work with them. I want to help them get what they need.
And I'll withdraw my motion if we'll put that on for the 28th and have both of them there, and let's handle it one way or the other right there.
and I'm perfectly fine with that. And I mean, if the kids, I don't want to deny the kids anything, but we've just appropriated a very large budget for them. And if they need computers immediately, I gotta think they can scratch $300,000 out of that out of the budget we just approved to get that moving. But
No, I mean, do they have that, much room in their budget?
it's month one of a 12-month budget. How do they not have $300,000 sitting somewhere?
Well, I can tell you, sometimes, you may be right, but I would have to look at it again, because, man, what they do when they put their budget out there, everything is earmarked for a certain thing, and you can't, unlike us, they can't move it. They can't move it. It is earmarked for said amount or said function, and you can't move it. It is unreal, the lack of flexibility they have. So that's my thing. Okay. I'm removing my motion, so we'll have all five. We'll go to the 28th, and we'll go from there.
I'll apologize in advance for my ignorance on the subject, but I don't see how they can't figure out a way to make it work.
And you may be right. This is called democracy in action. We're having a good spirited discussion. We're good. No worries. Mr. County Manager, are we good?
That's all I have, sir.
Do we have a,
Chair of the
item B, the Economic Development Board?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not recording. Yeah, I got those. Hang on one second.
So, well, while you're looking for that, another thing I'd like to address that falls under the same category. At some point in the very near future, I think we need to schedule a work session specifically dedicated to Sam and his operation at the landfill. We had that discussion a couple of weeks ago, and I think we need to follow up on that and be involved and have a better understanding of Sam's operation down there. Sam made that offer, and I recommend we take him up on that offer sooner rather than later. And I'll just put that out there as food for thought while the county manager is looking for.
I think that's a good idea. I would not recommend our next work session.
No, absolutely. We got plenty to do.
It looks like we got a lot, but
the work session on the 28th is rapidly growing larger. I don't think that's the appropriate time.
Yeah.
I almost think if the rules allow that we actually have the meeting maybe at the landfill. I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Sam, if you've got facilities to accommodate that, so.
I do, I'm a little smelly, but you can come on down.
Be a little smelly? That's all right.
You're more than welcome.
Don't wear your good shoes that day?
No, we got plenty of room to do
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for reminding us. We'll put that in our minutes.
I just don't want that to fall by the wayside. I think it's important
I
that we,
agree.
and
I agree.
that's a big amount of our county budget goes towards that department. I think we need to have a better understanding for the things Sam does down there.
I think you're exactly right. Mr. Poole, you wanted to talk to us about the chair for the Economic Development Advisory Board?
Yes, the Economic Development Advisory Board has requested the reappointment of Mitch Hampton as the Madison County Economic Development Advisory Board's chair. And it lists here the bylaws, section 211. So they followed their bylaws. The suggested motion here is to move him forward as the reappointment as the chair of the Madison County Economic Development Advisory Board.
Mr. Chair, I serve on that board with Commissioner Gentry.
Awesome.
And I move to approve the reappointment of Mitch Hampton as the chair of the Madison County Economic Development Advisory Board.
Have a motion?
I second that.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Done. County-owned surplus property, Mr. Poole?
Yes, sir. We had received an offer to purchase from Rice Property Identification Number 9861-14-1310 located at Airport Road, Mars Hill. A bid in the amount of $2,000 was approved by the board on May 19, 2020. The bid was advertised in the newspaper for upset with no others being received. The tax value of the property is $4,500 and approximately 1 acre is contained within the parcel. So we need to either approve, deny, or issue a counteroffer.
I think it's pretty good getting half of what the tax value is.
We do have the option to approve a counteroffer, guys. I'll just throw that out there. It was advertised and there were no upset bids, so it maybe tells you the amount of interest in that property at this time.
Correct. I'm in favor of accepting what we got, only because we got no further bids or anything else on the upset. That's just my.
You make a motion?
I'm making that in a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Sure, we don't want to consider a counteroffer, doesn't hurt to ask.
Well, okay, we're good at
We
discussion.
can always go back to we can always back up. We can't add more to it later. We can only back up.
We're in the discussion phase. What would you recommend, Mr. Wector?
I say split the difference and go for 3.
I'll second that.
Okay, I'll pull it back. We'll go for 3. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Oh,
Counter,
let's-
we're doing a counter.
Well, yeah, 1 second. We can't do that, correct? I want to consult legal. We can make the counter offer, but still, it leaves an opportunity open to go to 2,000 if we were to have to.
Yeah, you can, but I think you had this discussion on that piece of property back before we advertised it. Mandy, am I correct? We didn't do a counter offer back to these.
Which would have been the appropriate time to do it.
Which would have been the appropriate
Okay.
time to do it.
Okay.
So basically, you tend to be told those folks is that you would take 2,000 unless you had an increased bid through the publication process.
All right. Well, I don't want to renege on my word, so I will withdraw my motion.
Okay, so flush the toilets. We're done. Let's go. So the motion's going to be to accept the 2,000 for the property, right? Okay, I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Well, no, wait, who made the motion?
I have no idea.
You did.
Somebody.
Sure, I'll make that motion. I'll make that
All right,
motion.
then I'll second.
Okay, all right. Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Praise God. All right.
I know. It's in the grand scheme of things.
We good? I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Yeah.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Good night. Thank you all for coming.